Good morning, Sage here live from Kalkine Studios, and you're watching the early trades. And Australian shares have edged lower at the open as losses posted by miners and financial stocks offset the gains from the technology sector. The S&P ASX 200 index fell 0.2%. Bank of Queensland dropped 3.5% after announcing its 2021 financial year results. And a fall in the iron ore price weighed on the major miners. Mineral Resources dropped 1.5%, Rio Tinto tumbled 1.5% and Fortescue dipped as well 1.1%. Pump and pumping equipment and manufacturing company GUD Holdings shot out of the blocks, jumping 8.5% following its market update yesterday. Dairy products companies A2 Milk was 4.1% higher and Bubs Australia surged as well 15.3% after reporting a recovery in sales during the first quarter. IMF downgraded Australia's GDP overnight, and Prime Minister Scott Morrison's led government has slashed its economic outlook for the September quarter. The gross domestic product is now expected to drop by 3% or more. The Global Lending Agency expects the economy to rebound strongly in 2022 following an ease in the COVID-19 curbs and reopening of the economy. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones was down 0.3%, the S&P 500 fell 0.2% and the Nasdaq traded 0.1% lower. Benchmark bond yields surged in anticipation of tighter monetary conditions amid the expectations that central banks may rein in ultra-loose policies due to rising inflation concerns. Moving on now to the bond yields, and the two-year US Treasury yields jumped to 0.3419%, a level last seen only in March 2020. And benchmark 10-year yields retreated to 1.5751%. Now let's take a look at the currency updates, and the dollar index stayed at one-year highs and stood near a three-year peak against the yen. The dollar index rose 0.149% and a stronger dollar nudged the euro down 0.27%. The Japanese yen weakened 0.31%. And now let's glance at some of the latest news from the commodity space. Oil prices remained mixed as traders seemed to have taken profit after some gains, and WTI was little changed at US $80.50 per barrel, and Brent crude rose above the $84 a barrel briefly before shedding 0.5%. Gold rose on Tuesday despite the dollar's strength, and spot gold added 0.3%. US gold futures gained 0.34%. And meanwhile, with businesses hit by persistent supply chain disruptions and inflation pressures, the International Monetary Fund warned on Tuesday that the global economy's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic is being constrained and cut growth outlooks for the United States and other major industrial powers. In Asia, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange has delayed its morning trading session due to a typhoon, which has caused strong winds and rain. And now, before we take a look at the other important newsmakers, it's time for a small break, but please stay tuned with me as I'll be back with more trending updates.
Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
Sectoral coverage or industry news.
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
With Kalkine TV.
Welcome back, Sage here live from Kalkine Studio in Sydney. And now let us look at some of the newsmakers from the opening bell. Adriatic Metals and Orion Resource Partners have signed a term sheet for a $142.5 million debt financing package. And additionally, Adriatic intends to undertake an equity raising of up to $102 million comprised of a conditional placing to raise proceeds of up to $52 million. The capital raising will also include a conditional equity subscription for $50 million by Orion. The net proceeds from the equity raising will be used to commence construction of Adriatic's Veers silver project. And earlier this morning, Sandfire Resources revealed its intention to sell its entire holding in Adriatic Metals. And Sandfire Resources intends to sell its entire holdings through a secondary sale of up to 34.6 million CHESS depository interests. The sale will be implemented at $2.80 per share. And let's move on now to the next. The Bank of Queensland reported solid cash earnings and an increase in its net interest margin in its 2021 financial year. Cash earnings jumped to 83% to $412 million, while statutory net profit after tax jumped 221%, reaching $369 million. Bank of Queensland's net interest margin climbed 1 basis point and cash earnings per share increased to 74.7 cents per share. The bank declared a final fully franked dividend of 22 cents per share, bringing the financial year 2021 dividend to 39 cents per share. And this represents a 61% payout ratio for the financial year 2021. Goat milk infant formula player Bubs Australia has staged a major turnaround in the first quarter of the new financial year when sales nearly doubled to $18.5 million. And Bubs founder and CEO Christy Carr said the company has left the disruption and challenges of COVID-19 behind. It reports its gross revenue nearly doubled to $18.5 million in the quarter ending September 30th. It said international sales increased 489% on the year before. And thanks for joining us on that report. That's all for now on the early morning trades. Stay tuned to Kalkine TV as we have many more shows lined up for you for sharing the live updates across the economy, markets and sectors. Sage signing off.